Double check here. Is it live on your end, Ben?
Yes.
It is live. We are live right now. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Come on now. Come on now. Oh, yeah. Hop in the chat. Hop in the chat. Let's do this. I'll go in on the YouTube. We are live. Oh, Ben, do we have some thoughts today? Do we have some thoughts today, Ben? My
We really
goodness.
do.
My goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Let me follow. I need to follow some people back on the Twitter real quick. And then we can get going. Shout out everyone in the chat. Shout out everyone tuning in. We will get started here momentarily. Just need to get this all set up. Make sure the tech side is ready to go. And we'll be rocking and rolling. It'll be a good show. So shout out everyone. Okay. All right. Ready to roll?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. 3, 2, 1. We're live. We are live on X and YouTube right now on the Karter social channels right now. We have just finished up watching. I think there's still a game going on. Who cares? There's 2 games going on right now. Who cares? Recording Friday night. NCAA Tournament Friday reactions. The round of 64 is done. You can see right behind us if you're watching on YouTube or X right now. We have it all filled in and everything. It's not pretty. It's not great, but that is a perfect embodiment of what we saw today and what we saw this weekend, Ben. I will start off here. This is without question the worst NCAA tournament opening weekend I've ever seen in my life. It was awful. There was zero madness. There were zero buzzer beaters, zero excitement. Every game felt like it had no juice. It was awful. There was no big upsets. There's no big marketable stars. The most marketable person right now in this tournament is the manager from McNeese State. That's how bad this is. They're pushing Richie Saunders Tater Tots, which I love Richie, and Amir Khan, the McNeese State manager. That's it. That's all we have so far in this tournament. This has been the worst first 2 days of the NCAA tournament in my entire life. It has been gross. I know it sets up for a great second round of the tournament, but these first 2 days were terrible. F-, awful.
Yeah, no, absolutely brutal. I mean, we talked about it yesterday, right? We're like, yeah, man, today it was really slow, not very good. But, you know, tomorrow I'm sure it'll pick up some, right? That was kind of the sentiment that we both kind of shared when we were on here about 24 hours ago. No, it didn't pick up at all.
It was awful.
It was terrible. I mean, right, we kind of knew it was a little bit of a chalky year, but I thought it was more, I think where my miscalculation came in is I thought it was a chalky year in that, hey, the 1s and 2s won't lose, and 1s, 2s, maybe a few of the 3s are very strong, and I think once we get to Elite 8 time, it's looking chalky. I didn't think that the 4s and the Purdue's and Michigan's and those teams of the world were just gonna mop up the teams that are playing.
It was awful. The discrepancy between the mid-majors and these lower-level teams. But then you can say
the mid-majors are brutal.
The mid-majors were terrible. Like, I love the mid-majors. I root for them. I tried rooting for them. They were just awful.
They don't make shots.
No, none of them can shoot threes. I don't know if it's the overinflated balls or whatever it was. According to Tate Frazier, the overinflated balls only hurt North Carolina today.
Yes, only R.J. Davis and Elliott.
Yep, that's why Carolina lost today. It wasn't because they had a 20-point deficit at halftime.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the balls were overinflated in their other 13 or 14 quad.
Okay, then why did Duke make shots? Why did Florida make shots? It's because they're just better teams. The talent discrepancy is incredible, and it's been a terrible first 2 days. It sucks. It's awful. But anyhow.
Yeah, I mean, at this point though, I think it's in the rearview mirror.
Yep. Right?
Like, we're kind of pissed, but it should set up for a better tomorrow and Sunday, and Sweet 16, Elite 8 as well, and hopefully a very much a heavyweight Final Four. But yeah, it's brutal. Like, you know, we put our bodies through a lot.
Yeah, I was dying today. It was bad. It was Fart Nation.
But it felt like we were doing it for nothing.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's like you take time off and you're like, okay, I'm setting all this time
you're like,
aside
I
this
actually
weekend.
feel like a loser.
Yeah, I genuinely feel terrible about myself. Where usually there's great games and stuff. I don't feel bad for eating bad. I don't feel bad for sitting there watching basketball for 12 hours. But there's nothing I can pinpoint to and go, that was worth it. That was worth it. Like, if I really wanted to, if I was like, okay, BYU played VCU, I could have just been like, all right, I'll watch the BYU VCU game or whatever. No, and I understand we're doing this podcast and we have to watch these games and whatnot, and I was going to watch regardless, but it does make you feel like a loser. In the chat, real quick on the YouTube chat, shout out Bash's College Football Show, Bosch's. Tell me if I'm saying that right. Tell me the correct pronunciation. He said, y'all do a great show, entertaining. Shout out you. And then he said, the best game of the first round was UC San Diego, Michigan. UC San Diego was a great team. And even then, like, let's say UC San Diego moves on against Texas A&M, they were going to get smacked in the second round.
Yeah. I almost feel like, in a way, I remember, we were watching this game with some other buddies, right, who aren't on the show. And I turned to one of them after the Oklahoma-UConn game. I'm like, look, I'm upset UConn won, but this was a great game. Mm-hmm. Like, I enjoyed this game. And he turns to me and goes, yeah, but, like, that's, like, a good second game when you're, like, you know, the March Madness setup ideally is the 4 screens, the 4 games. He's like, that's, like, a decent second one with 4 games going on, but, like, it's not the best. Like, there should be a better game on currently. And that was maybe the best one of the weekend. It was brutal. Liberty St. Mary, or not Liberty. St. Mary's Vandy.
St. Mary's.
Definitely not Liberty.
I think, in my opinion, it was St. Mary's. Vandy was probably 1.
Ole Miss UNC was all right.
Baylor, Mississippi State probably.
Forgot about that.
2 tied with UC San Diego, Michigan. It was just all just.
I think it was a little better today.
Yeah, but I just think because the teams were better.
It says nothing, though.
It was awful. Also, sorry to everyone listening. I messed up. Our producer messed up. It says Thursday live reactions. This just describes what's going on right now. It's just full-blown disaster.
It's the same damn thing.
Yeah.
Both our reactions.
Oh, shout out Jack Carpenter. He's in the YouTube chat. He said, was today karma because you went to B-dubs and not Chili's? It should have been.
Honestly, I think so.
I wish the power went out. I wish the power went out today. And I could have just gone to Chili's and had a 3 for me. And honestly, I could have just sat there by myself in a booth watching a YouTube documentary.
I wish I went on a walk. I wish I went to the gym, ate a salad. That's what today did.
I went to the airport, pick up someone, but
DMV. Should go to the DMV.
I wish I
was at the DMV.
I'm just sad. Cole had a great tweet. He's like, we were promised madness. We got nothing. We got freaking chalky chalk. Every game was LeBron swinging up the chalk at half court. Just chalk nation, man. It was. I mean, you look at this bracket behind us right now. It's the favorite one every single freaking time. Like, and like you're like, oh well, Colorado State, that was a 12 seed.
They were favored. Vegas.
Yeah, they were favored.
Like, honestly, I think it's Missouri was. I don't remember the exact spread, but they're probably slightly favored over Drake. But that wasn't. We know the deal with 6-11s.
Yeah,
those aren't like. That's not a dramatic upset, obviously. I think the real true upset was McNeese beating Clemson.
Yeah.
But they did that so convincingly that.
And it wasn't an entertaining game at all is the issue. Like, and yeah, it's
brutal.
F-. It was the worst. It was the worst NCAA tournament so far. I really think Saturday and Sunday are going to deliver, but maybe I'm just being delusional and I'm just promising myself that and be like, no, Saturday, Sunday, like it has to deliver. It's going to be great. And what if it's all bluff?
It's got to deliver at some point.
I don't know. Maybe it's just these 1 seeds are so good, and then we just get a 1 seed Final Four. Because really think about it right now. Let's start talking basketball right now. You're picking Duke. You're picking Houston. You're picking Florida.
Yeah.
And then you're picking Iowa State or Auburn.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm not right. I think Auburn's the most susceptible, but I'm not convinced someone in that region is going to knock off Auburn. Like, fully convinced.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all at this point.
They certainly could come
Now, with that being said, Creighton money line tomorrow and Creighton spread.
Yeah, no, I will be all over. I think Gonzaga and Creighton, and I think the problem is we're going to go in tomorrow. I think Purdue wins by like 10 or 12.
Yep.
Right, start the day, and then I think we get in. Oh baby, here we go. We got Cal Patino.
Cal Patino will be.
It'll be a disgusting basketball game, though.
I don't care about the basketball anymore. I don't care. I just want close games. I don't care. I don't need aesthetically pleasing basketball. If I wanted that, I'd watch NBA more, or I would watch BYU versus Wisconsin because that's going to be really pleasing basketball.
I'm excited for that.
But Arkansas St. John's, I want a dogfight, rock fight, disgusting game where no fouls are called, and the final score is 61-60 on a BS buzzer beater. That's what I want.
Yeah,
is it too much to ask? Is it too much to ask for a buzzer beater during March Madness? Is it too much to ask for an upset? Is it too much to ask for any of this stuff, Ben? This is a joke.
I don't think so.
I'm livid right now. I'm livid. It's honestly a joke. Let's go through some of these games today. Jack Carpenter in the chat, shout out. He said, "Life is never bad enough to eat salad, Ben. Keep your head up."
I appreciate that.
Quote card.
Yeah,
we gotta get our producer on that one for quote card. Yeah, dude. If you eat a salad this weekend, I will punch you in the face.
Yeah, it's just that.
And same here. If I'm sitting here like, hey, let's go to Zupa's, and I hope you punch me in the face. And
I want a nuts bout berry salad.
No, you got Papa John's delivered.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
And guess what? I'm probably gonna do the same thing where I was gonna get Papa John's, and then my stomach, man, it was just. Maybe I'm just getting weak.
Yeah,
maybe I'm weak.
Kind of like these mid majors this year.
Yeah, I think maybe I'm not up for it. Or you know what? If the games are awesome tomorrow, I'll probably be like, dude, look, F it. Let's just go get something awesome. Let's go get some great food. Instead, I'm like, I shouldn't eat bad and all this stuff. And I don't know. I'm just miserable. I'm so mad. And it's just a disgusting tournament. But let's go through this real quick. Baylor, Mississippi State, close game. This got the juices flowing a little bit. You're like, okay, this is what this feels like March Madness a little bit. And Mississippi State's the worst coach team ever and the dumbest players on this team. Let's just call it like it is. That was some of the worst on-court decision-making I've ever seen in a tournament game.
Yeah, right, especially in that last play where we have Josh Hubbard with kind of the dribble handoff. And I think ideally they were looking to, you should be looking to just get him the ball back after the dribble handoff. You dribble, Hubbard hands it off, right? He comes around. Hubbard kind of goes into the corner. You want to swing it back to him and let him shoot that. Instead, you just kind of settle for something a little too early with not your best player that's contested. Not a great look. But yeah, dude, even in that game, it was the first game of the day, and there was no one there.
No, because all the Duke fans were coming in for the second slate.
You know what? We really needed that Louisville Creighton game yesterday to be good.
We needed one game to be good, and all of these have stunk, and Baylor gets it done. I like Baylor going forward. I think Baylor has a shot against Duke. I don't think it's far-fetched to say Baylor keeps it close against Duke in that game. Obviously, I'm going to pick Duke to win, but I think the spread is kind of crazy at 12. I thought it would be 7.5, and I think Baylor keeps it within single digits.
Is this a safe space?
Yeah.
For the madness?
No, stop. Move on. No, we're not having that kind of speech here.
Do we need a Baylor over Duke?
No, we need Creighton over Auburn because we need it.
No, we need that one. Well, we also need one at least with this Duke team. I think people would be like, this is a bummer. We want to watch this team deep into March. I at least feel that way.
And I would not be upset at all. I know I'm biased, but I wouldn't be.
But if Auburn lost, everyone would be like, those idiots.
Yeah, because I would actually be upset if Florida lost in the second round because I do like watching this Florida team. I don't want to keep seeing them play.
I feel that way about Duke.
Yeah, but with Houston, I'm kind of indifferent about. I don't really care one way or the other. But with Auburn, if they lost, I'm like, kind of funny.
And we might need that. That might get the juices flowing tomorrow.
Yeah, we need something. Maybe a McNeese win. A McNeese win might save us. Who knows? But moving on, we forgot about this. This actually might have been the best game of the day. Robert Morris, Alabama. Robert Morris. I'll be honest right now. Alabama just paid off the refs in this game. Robert Morris got screwed. Robert Morris was getting called for every little thing, and all of a sudden Alabama was just knocking down free throws and pulled away in this one, 90-81. Alabama looked a little shaky in the spot, but I was telling you this during the game, Ben. I'm still worried about this Alabama team going forward, and I think they are dangerous. I don't care what anybody says. There's no person on planet Earth that goes, I'm excited to play Alabama. I'm comfortable against Alabama. No. I feel confident against Alabama. No one in the country feels that way because they can go off and beat anybody on any given day.
The one counter is I think Alabama is a team where if you're an underdog, you can see a path to beating them.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are the favorite, you're one of these top dogs in the tournament.
Yeah.
I think you're horrified of them. Example, I think BYU, if they make the Sweet 16, that is gravy. It's cherry on top.
Mm-hmm.
Going into that Bama game, you're excited to play them because of the opportunity that's ahead of you. You think you can win that game because a C-level Alabama game and an A- BYU game. BYU
I don't even
win.
know if it would even take an A-. I think a B game could beat them.
Yeah, you know what I mean, though.
Yeah.
Whereas with Duke sees Bama in the Elite Eight, they're going to be horrified.
Terrified.
Yeah.
Terrified. That is a nightmare matchup, in my opinion. Now, would I still pick Duke in that matchup? Yeah, for sure. But the way Alabama plays, they can go off at any given moment. And we watched that St. Mary's Vandy game. Look, man, I think Alabama steamrolls them. I think Alabama just wins by 25.
That's going to be a bad one.
And what do you think the spread is in that game?
12.5. More? Less. Okay, then I'm taking that.
5.5.
It's 5.5?
It's 5.5. Might be a nuclear whale missile play of the week.
That is insane.
Alabama minus 5.5 against St. Mary's.
Will destroy them.
Alabama minus 5.5.
Would it be really funny if St. Mary's beat Alabama?
You know Kentucky's favored over Illinois?
I don't think there should be.
I don't think they should be either. I love Illinois there.
Some of these, Alabama St. Mary's is not one of these, but you name some of these matchups that are coming up in the next couple of days. I look at Illinois, Kentucky. I look at Houston, Gonzaga tomorrow. BYU, Wisconsin.
Big news. Breaking news. Florida is under a double-digit favorite against the UConn Huskies.
We're going to have to hammer that.
There are way too many things I like, and I have been horrendous these first 2 days. I keep riding with the dogs, and it's just been chalk city out here.
Now we're gonna like the best teams in the country, and they're just gonna fall flat on their faces.
Oh my gosh,
that's what's gonna happen.
I'm trying to see if Matt and Orlando put out times for Saturday because all the games have wrapped up. By the way, if you're wondering, Liberty did not upset Oregon. Okay, we have it. Sunday tip times. The first game of the day is UConn, Florida, and it rolls right into Duke versus Baylor. And then the night slate is Illinois, Kentucky, St. Mary's, Alabama, Colorado State, Maryland, Ole Miss, Iowa State, New Mexico, Michigan State. And the nightcap is Oregon versus Arizona. That makes sense in Seattle. Yeah, I think that's fair. That's about what I thought. I thought Duke might have been the 5:15 Eastern tip-off, but Illinois, Kentucky, I think that's going to be a great game. But that's the one positive you can take from all this, Ben, is that these second-round games are actually effing legit, and they are so exciting to look at. And you're like, I think either team could win in almost all of these games. I mean, let's go. Let's quickly go through it, and then we'll recap the rest of the slate and get out of here. Quick pod. But McNeese, Purdue. Would you be surprised if McNeese won?
No.
Arkansas, St. John's. Would you be surprised if Arkansas won? I don't think I would.
Not really.
Michigan, Texas A&M. Either team.
Yeah, it's like a coin flip.
Drake, Texas Tech. I actually think I would be a little surprised if Drake won.
Mildly, though. Only mildly.
Creighton, Auburn? No, I would definitely not be surprised.
At all.
BYU, Wisconsin, coin flip. Gonzaga, Houston.
Not at all.
UCLA, Tennessee.
Probably not mildly because I'm just not ultra confident in UCLA.
Ole Miss, Iowa State.
I have Ole Miss.
New Mexico, Michigan State.
No, that feels like that might be the one.
That
Actually, not even the one. I could see a few.
we're talking about going down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
1, 2, 3 seeds. A handful will go down this weekend.
UConn, Florida, I think is the number one game where I would be most shocked if UConn won that game.
Yeah, or St. Mary's,
And
Alabama.
if I'm here on record right now, if UConn beats Florida in that game, everything I've said about Dan Hurley, I'll take back. I will take back on the show. If he goes out and he beats Florida in the second round, look, I've got nothing to stand on. He can be an a-hole. Dude just wins. You can't argue it. With this team, it's already a success what UConn has done this season. The fact that they won this game against Oklahoma tonight, Oklahoma stinks, by the way. They are a terrible team.
Jeremiah Fears is awesome.
He is awesome, but I'd be shocked if he's back there next year.
No, he shouldn't be.
UConn, this team is terrible. It's not a good team. Dan Hurley might be one of the probably 5 coaches in this sport that could make this a tournament team, and also on top of that, win a tournament game. He's an unbelievable coach, probably the best one in the sport right now, but I still don't believe in this UConn team going forward.
They still don't have the horses.
No.
They really don't. They're a team of kind of like a bunch of role players on the last 2 UConn teams.
Yep, absolutely.
So,
all right, let's move on. Let's recap these slates, and then we'll talk a little bit about tomorrow, and then we'll wrap up here. Lipscomb, Iowa State blowout, no shot. Lipscomb was terrible, awful. Colorado State, Memphis, Mountain West gets a win, and the Mountain West. Look, New Mexico beat Marquette, great win. I will give the Mountain West credit if Colorado State beats Maryland, but Memphis without Tyrese Hunter. Bit of an asterisk in my opinion, and they were favored in this game.
For sure. I think Maryland's going to win that game.
I would too. I think it's going to be a good game.
Yeah, no, I think it'll be single digits.
Yeah. Mount St. Mary's versus Duke. Duke is good.
And Mount St. Mary's is not.
Or is Duke just that good? Because,
we've been talking about how awful these mid-majors are.
I understand that, but Mount St. Mary's looked like they were a 6th grade basketball team today.
Yeah, for sure, but that was to be expected.
Yeah, but Alabama State didn't look like that. Alabama State looked like a Division I basketball team.
No, I agree.
Just put that out there. I think Duke did look great today.
Yeah. I'm just going to say I'm not going to take away. I'm just not going to have massive takeaways.
No. And then Florida, Norfolk State. I will say that first half Florida against Norfolk State gave me 2009 Carolina vibes. Where you're just like, oh my gosh, how do you stop this? And then they fully went off the gas in the second half and didn't care. But it's a 116 game. You can't really take it away from it.
Are you going to be surprised if it's not Duke, Florida?
No.
It might be a little too early for that.
No, I think it's a little too early because, I think I think Duke is the best team in the country. I think some of these...
Florida's close.
I still think some of these teams in this region can give Duke in a one-off game. It can get weird where all of a sudden
Florida
you're like...
too.
Yeah, and Florida too. I think if Texas Tech versus Florida, I think things could get really weird at that point. Or if you look at if Florida St. John's, I'd actually be pretty surprised if Florida lost that game. But Florida Maryland, that could be a really good game.
I agree.
So I wouldn't be shocked, to be honest, but I do expect it. Moving on, Vandy St. Mary's, best game of the day, but Vandy choked. Vandy, absolute choke job.
It was a low-scoring game, but my takeaway was Vanderbilt's just lack of defense in critical situations. I didn't love Mark Byington's timeout with about 2 minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
It put him in a tough spot where there was kind of a loose ball that they got with under a minute to go, and they couldn't call the timeout at that point.
Yeah,
that's a point in which you want a timeout. A good first year for Vanderbilt and Mark Byington there.
Yeah,
he's going to continue doing a great job there. But yeah, that was the execution, and especially on the defensive end, was leaving a lot to be desired.
Yeah, it was gross, and I can't believe Vanderbilt choked that game. That was Hogard was awful, And shout out St. Mary's. I mean, they got it done and they played their game and they fell right. Vanderbilt fell right into what St. Mary's wanted to do in that second half. And St. Mary's exposed them, got the win. They get Alabama and only a 5.5-point underdog against Alabama Crimson Tide. So we'll see about that game. The two contrasting styles in that game is going to be fascinating to watch.
It really is. Just a bunch of white dudes who want to go slow.
Yep.
And then like a bunch of NBA athletes pushing the pace.
Yep. North Carolina versus Ole Miss. Excuse me. I'm sorry. North Carolina, Ole Miss. Ole Miss gets this win, 71-64. This game between UNC and Ole Miss was the embodiment of Carolina's season all into one game. This is exactly how this Carolina team was always going to fall apart this season, was a terrible first half showing. They couldn't come up in the first half. They couldn't show up. And then in the second half, they're digging themselves out of a hole and they get so close, yet they choke in those final moments. And you just go, man, if they didn't just stink it up in that first half, Carolina probably could have won that game and probably should have won that game.
You know what? All those people who after the first 4 games were going, oh, well, it's very obvious that Carolina should shut up.
No, it's still, they still got West Virginia still should have made the tournament in over them and potentially even Xavier as well. But
the quad 1 games. Quad 1 games, saying that are all sarcastically. The game against San Diego State, that would have been, there was a quad 2. Then they played a quad 1 today and lost, of course.
And that's just another example of why we don't need to expand the tournament.
No.
It's just bad basketball.
It really is.
And I think Carolina was playing the best basketball out of anybody on the bubble, but I think Ole Miss is
still not good though.
The two differences in this Carolina Ole Miss game was, number one, coaching. Chris Beard just outcoached Hubert Davis in this game, and they prepared better for this game, and they had more time to prepare in a way. They knew they were going to play North Carolina. They probably prepared for it more than they did San Diego State. And Chris Beard is just the better coach in this matchup.
Yeah, the whole Hubert Davis UNC thing is growing tired on me.
That's going to be the interesting thing is
they're not moving off him.
No, and he's got some guys coming in, and they're going to have a great portal class probably because they're putting up a ton of NIL money, Caleb Wilson coming in and everything. And so with Hubert next season, him and Steve Forbes, the seat is red hot. It is on fire. If Steve Forbes just has to make the tournament at Wake. North Carolina and
Which
Hubert
is an
Davis.
Impossible feat for him for some reason.
And North Carolina and Hubert Davis, I really think North Carolina's got to be a real player. It can't be they just make the tournament, win a game, fall out, and they were an 8 seed, kind of like what UConn is this year.
6 seed.
They need to be. I think they need to be in the top 4 or 5 next year if they're going to put legit money into this program. And you're going to believe Hubert is the guy going forward, which I think he can be. I'm not totally out on Hubert Davis as a whole.
I just think it's telling after year 3 to not be in.
Well, my thing is that I just think the roster construction was so poor, and that's on Hubert for sure. But I think that will get fixed, and we've seen it where when they do fix some things up, Hubert can take this team to what they did last year and make a Sweet 16, and they were a 1 seed in the tournament. And so, I think that is possible. It's going to be really interesting to see though how Hubert Davis is post RJ Davis era. Now it's now to a point where every single one of these guys on Hubert Davis's roster next season
are his guys. There's no Roy left.
Roy's done. The Roy guys are gone.
All gone, which it's crazy. It took, and I said after year 3, it's year 4, right?
Yeah, year 4.
Yeah, it was actually year 4 this year. I think the disappointing part, right? They were kind of disappointing that first year, got hot at the end, made the Final Four, then brought everyone back, missed the tournament. Then last year, right, it felt like they corrected their wrongs. They were like, okay, we understood what we did wrong.
Mm-hmm.
We retooled this, and we're a 1 seed. I think it was disappointing to see them dip down again. I think if you're a Carolina fan, you're feeling like, I thought you figured this out.
Yeah.
And then we're back in the same spot again. He has obviously shown that he can get them back to being very competitive immediately. But I think there definitely is a valid concern of, we dug ourselves in this hole for a second time in his tenure.
On top of that, I think the ACC is going to be much better next year.
I agree.
And it's this weird mix of it'll probably help them because I think there are going to be a lot more quad one opportunities and build their resume up and whatnot. But at the same time, it's harder to win in a league like that. And let's say you finish, I don't know, 7th in the ACC next season, and that's not going to fly. That's not going to fly. Carolina needs to be a top 4 seed next season in the ACC, or else people are just going to have questions about Hubert going forward. And I think it's just fair okay, can you escape this roller coaster ride that his coaching career has been on during his time at North Carolina?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree with you with the coaches that are coming in and a few coaches that have been there for a year or two. I think those coaches are going to start breaking through, the Kyle Smiths, the Mark Madsons, Stoudemire, maybe even Shrewsbury.
But the new coaches coming in, Will Wade and Ryan Odom, I think are going to be immediate problems for the ACC in year one.
Because both of those programs are putting up serious money.
Yes,
for both.
They're putting up $5 to $10 million in NIL money.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, they are real problems. They're going after the same guys North Carolina is, Duke is, and
Pat Kelsey year 2.
I know.
Brad Brownell, they were bad, but they're still going to be good.
Steve Forbes is still a bubble coach.
Yeah, that's a good program. Stanford's one I think they could really come.
SMU has a ton of money.
No one gives a crap.
Jay Lucas.
But that's how bad the games were today that I feel okay talking about this.
Yeah, let's move on. Yeah, perfect segue. Grand Canyon versus Maryland. Stinky poo-poo game of the day.
We did know that, though.
Yeah, we did talk about that in the preview. I watched a good bit of Grand Canyon this year.
Good.
One, they're just not a good basketball team. I didn't think they were going to be able to beat any of these Power 5 teams. Maybe Michigan, if they played in a game against Michigan, because, Grand Canyon's kind of long and lengthy a little bit, but you look at anybody else of these 4 seeds, they weren't beating Arizona. They weren't beating, you got to remind me of the 4 seeds right now. I got to turn around right now. They weren't beating Purdue, let's be honest. And they weren't beating, who's the other one?
Texas A&M.
They weren't beating them either.
No, they weren't. A&M has too many athletes. I think
Maryland's good.
What team, just for fun, what team disappointed you the most today? Or disgusted you the most?
That's a great question. Let me do my research real quick.
If we're going to be negative, let's just dive in.
Team that disappointed me the most today, Liberty.
I was going to say Liberty. Liberty did not look like a Division I basketball school.
No, they looked like they grabbed me, you, and the other people we were watching games with and said, hey, you guys go on a basketball court. Because we would have played the exact same offense that they did against Oregon, where we're chucking up stupid threes and we're
missing all of them.
Backdoor cuts and just praying that we can pass over 7-footers.
Yes. Also, they made Oregon. Oregon's not a bad team. They're a solid team.
Yeah.
They made them look like the freaking Monstars.
Yeah, they did. It
was so annoying.
Yeah, they did. Moving on real quick. Troy, Kentucky. Mark Pope gets the monkey off his back. First win. Kentucky fans get a first-round win finally. They're moving on to the round of 32. Very boring game. Nothing to break down here. Kentucky is just better than Troy.
Yeah.
That's how a lot of these games are, and it sucks because
Arizona, Akron, same story.
Yep, they were just a better version of Akron. New Mexico, Marquette. New Mexico, Donovan Dent was as advertised in this game. Cam Jones was not as advertised in this game. Disappointing showing from Marquette and Shaka Smart. And shout out New Mexico, great win for Richard Pitino and New Mexico's first win in 13 years in the tournament. So shout out the Lobos.
Yeah, no, they are a team that I watched and I was like, I'm excited.
Yeah, I like them going up. I think they're a great matchup up against Michigan State. I think they match up very well. And to be honest, Donovan Dent versus Jace Richardson.
That's going to be fun.
That's really good basketball right there. So that's something to look forward to. Oklahoma, Connecticut. Talked about this game a little bit. Oklahoma just stinks. Porter Moser has done an unbelievable job at Oklahoma. He is one of the best coaches in this country. Now, I'm not saying he's top 5. Maybe
he's one of the most underappreciated.
That's it. He might be maybe the most underrated coach in this country because that team is just not talented.
They just don't have the resources. I mean, you saw spurts. Fears obviously is awesome. That I forgot his name. Weige, you know who I'm talking about. Like that guy was decent too. Number 14, whoever that was, he actually played some good defense. Outside of that, though, I hate to pick on people specifically, but what the hell is that number 7 white blonde guy do?
Oh, Forsyth.
That guy was. That's not a Power 5 basketball player.
They're
What is
just
he doing
kids.
out there?
They're just kids. Don't say that. They're not making any NIL. They're not making any money, Ben. They're student athletes.
Dude, that's the problem. That guy's probably making 6 figures to do whatever the hell that was.
Yeah, that was awful. He was a
awful.
non-factor. Jack Carpenter in the chat said Troy was the most disappointing. If they saw that Mark Pope lose yourself video, they would have won by 40 points. Yeah, no, just Troy was awful. Also in the chat, I'm gonna mess up your name, so I'm sorry. I can't pronounce names very well. DeLoyne Williams, I hope I pronounced that right. Said BYU or Wisconsin tomorrow. Who are you picking?
I'm going to go with BYU. Obviously, you're not going to get the most objective people here. We both have BYU ties. I'm going to go with BYU.
I'm an unbiased journalist, so I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm going to go with BYU because I do think they have the ability in the front court to be a little more physical in a way that Wisconsin does not. Wisconsin has 2 7-footers, but they're not physically imposing. I think that BYU also has the guys who can stretch out there and guard those guys on the perimeter, and like Kada and Mag. God forbid Foose tried to do that, but for that reason, and I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on Tanji specifically, maybe a little bit Blackwell, but mostly Tanji. I think BYU's just got different options of scoring.
Yeah,
and I'm fascinated by this game. I'm excited. Wouldn't be shocked either way, but I lean BYU for those reasons.
I got the name right, so shout out me. Big dub here. So Chase and I weren't able to record a preview today, the scheduling conflict and everything. I did watch a little bit of Wisconsin film late last night. I was up till about 4 a.m. last night watching stuff. So
I out there.
Yeah,
I was just asleep on the couch.
You were asleep on my couch, and I was grinding some Wisconsin film last night. That's how much we dive into this stuff here. I was watching some film, and I actually lean BYU tomorrow, and the key of the game is going to be, can Mawit-Mag stop John Tanji? I mean, that is what it boils down to, and I don't think Tanji has gone against a guy like Mawit-Mag. I think he's the most underrated defender in college basketball, especially as an on-ball guy that can get you out of your comfort zone, and I think BYU can throw so many different switches at Wisconsin and throw so many different things. You talk about Wisconsin's bigs not being super physical like a guy like Kada can be. I think Kaba is going to have a monster game and stay out of foul trouble. The one thing I am worried about for BYU in this game is Kaba having to stretch out for Wisconsin's bigs who can shoot the ball a little bit, and how does he respond to that? Can he guard out there? Does that limit what BYU can do? Because what BYU likes to do is funnel these guys into the paint and force them into Kaba, where you can play a little bit of that Rudy Gobert Jazz defense and come swat the ball and play help defense.
That's fair. I think he's athletic enough he has the capability to do it.
But those guys can be threats, and so it pulls him away a little bit, opens up the lane for these guards to drive more, and that worries me that BYU can get into foul trouble tomorrow, and that's what I'm really worried about, because we saw it last season a little bit, because Dallin Hall would get those cheap fouls sometimes, and I'm worried that might come up a little bit tomorrow. Those are my concerns, is Tanji going off and BYU guards getting into foul trouble, and Kada as well. But I am picking BYU in this game because I think BYU can throw more stuff at Wisconsin. And on top of that, look, it didn't work out in the Louisville game when we talked about it, but playing in altitude, the rest advantage. And on top of that, this is a BYU home game. This game is essentially being played at the Delta Center in Salt Lake City. That place is going to be 70-80% royal blue, all BYU fans in that building.
And there's probably more BYU fans that saw us win.
And they're like, hey,
and on Friday they're driving down.
Yeah, they're like, hey, I don't have
work now.
Yeah, and I'm driving down to Provo, or I'm taking a quick Frontier flight down to Denver, and let's do this thing. And so shout out all the BYU fans going to that game. I am so excited. And then DeLoyne said Wisconsin #1 in the country in making free throws. That's what I'm saying. That's going to be a huge problem. And BYU's got to knock down free throws. That has been a problem at times this season. Not as much as of late. And Chase and I talk about it all the time on Church Ball. BYU's guards, Yegor and Down, have to get to the paint. That is the key, because if they have success driving the ball and penetrating along with Richie Saunders, that opens up the three ball, and then, dude, it's game on from there.
Yep.
And then going back to the chat, Jack said, Streets are saying that when BYU wins tomorrow, T-Pain can no longer rhyme Mansion with Wisconsin. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know T-Pain songs. Mansion with Wisconsin.
Yeah, I don't really either, but
Jack, I'm sorry, I'm uncultured. I just watch ball all the time. Maybe I need to get out. Maybe I need to touch grass, as they say. DeLoyne Williams said, Houston or the Zags? Great question. Who you going with?
I'm gonna go with Houston because I keep expecting them to fall, and they don't. They just don't. And they're a team that, although they lack size, they're physically imposing. I don't feel that way with Gonzaga at all, especially defensively. I think even though Graham Ike has the size advantage, I don't think he's a guy who's honestly just going to be able to dominate the paint. I think you have Roberts back, you have Francis, you have guys like that are, I just think Houston's going to be physically imposing and kind of just set the tone. I'm saying a bunch of cliches, but I think you know what I mean. I think people who are listening can see where I'm coming from. I just think they're a team that's gonna bother Gonzaga's guards. I think they're gonna be in Ryan Nembhard's grill. I think this is a bad matchup for Gonzaga.
I don't necessarily think it's that bad of a matchup.
Really? I
don't think it's a bad matchup for Gonzaga. I think
just don't really buy Gonzaga.
I don't necessarily buy Gonzaga either. I am picking Houston in this game, but I would lean Gonzaga with the points if you're going to bet this game, because
what's it at?
5.5.
Okay, no, I don't think this is going to be a blowout. I'm not saying that,
because I think when you have a guy like Nembhard who doesn't turn over the ball, that is such a critical thing that Houston just preys on, is these erratic point guards who can turn over the ball. And the other thing that Gonzaga has on top of that is they have an elite coach. He's been here before.
Yeah.
And you look at the coaches that they've lost to this season: Auburn, Bruce Pearl. I understand that team's very good. They're super talented, maybe more talented than this Houston team. Alabama, Nate Oates, great coach. And then you go San Diego State. Now, I still don't know how they lost that game, but Brian Dutcher, great coach. Grant McCaslin, they lost to Texas Tech, great coach. They should have lost to Kansas and Allen Fieldhouse. Bill Self, great coach. And they all had point guards who don't necessarily turn the ball over too much. I'm not saying Gonzaga is going to win. I think Houston wins in a close one, but I wouldn't be shocked.
They could make it interesting. I do think, though, specifically, I think of a guy like Roberts with Graham Ike.
Yeah.
I could see that being a problem. I also see Houston's guards getting to the hoop, and Ike doesn't offer he doesn't really protect the rim.
Yeah.
And I think that's an issue, too. I think that'll make a difference.
And the other thing on top of that's why I think Gonzaga does match up well against this team, and we'll wrap up this quickly here. But with Roberts being undersized, Ike undersized, it's going to be dominated by guards in this game and shot making, in my opinion. And I think Gonzaga can hang with them if it comes into that game, but can Houston's physicality overcome that? We'll find out. Shout out DeLoyne Williams in the chat. He said you guys got a new subscriber. Shout out to you, man. You're the man. You're the man.
Those are good questions.
Yeah.
I didn't want to talk about these games. So him talking about...
Yeah, I don't want to talk...
I mean the games that happened. The games he's talking about tomorrow, I did want to talk about.
Bryant's dead to me. They couldn't do anything for me tonight. They did cover the first half, but whatever. Yeah. Xavier, Illinois. Illinois is good. Illinois is a problem. I think Illinois can be an Elite Eight team. I don't think they can make the Final Four, but they have the talent to make a real run in this thing. You look at their path right here. You're going Kentucky, Illinois. I like Illinois in that game.
I do too.
And then you go, okay, probably Tennessee. We've seen this matchup before. It was decided by a buzzer beater last time. So Illinois can definitely still win that game. All of a sudden, you're looking at Illinois versus potentially what? Purdue, Gonzaga, Houston? They're probably not beating Houston if that game. But if it's Gonzaga or Purdue, then they can definitely win that game.
I think Houston or Gonzaga, whoever wins the game tomorrow, we're going to see in the Elite Eight.
Final Four?
I'm not going to go that far because Gonzaga could lose to Tennessee or Illinois.
Okay.
Or even
right.
maybe Kentucky. Fair. I think they'd beat Kentucky, but they could lose to Kentucky.
I think that's fair. Game you're most excited about tomorrow?
I think it might actually be Creighton Auburn.
Wow. I thought you were going to say St. John's, Arkansas.
It's not really doing it for me because I feel like I already know where that's going to go. It's going to be close. It's going to be ugly. And then St. John's is going to kind of pull away in the final 8 minutes.
I want great basketball on my TV, and I want close basketball. And I think
that'll be close. I'm not sure if it'll be great.
No. That's why I'm not going with that game.
Yeah.
It's BYU, Wisconsin. That's going to be the best game, best played basketball tomorrow, in my opinion. I think Auburn Creighton is fascinating.
It'll be like very crisp basketball.
It's going to be elite offensive basketball, up and down, fast pace, which I also think favors BYU with the altitude and everything, and BYU's depth with the rest advantage and everything. And I think BYU wins tomorrow.
Yeah, and for me, I'm excited about Creighton Auburn because I think Kalkbrenner is a guy, a beat-up Janai Broom could have a lot of issues with Kalkbrenner. Neal has just been on an absolute tear lately. I think that's kind of the X factor. Can he play the way that he's been playing lately?
He's going to have to.
Yeah, I mean, if he is, they can win this game. Can Ashworth catch fire from 3? Will these Auburn guards, they're going to continue to shoot these tough shots. We've seen it before. Will they make them? Will they miss them? I think that determines the game.
DeLoyne also in the chat said, would you lay the 9.5 with Auburn? Absolutely not. That is a full-blown stay away, in my opinion. I would probably lean Creighton tomorrow. To be honest, I think Kalkbrenner could cause real problems for Janai Broom, who's clearly not 100%. And the size advantage there, I'll be honest, I think the difference in this game is going to be who gets 2 fouls first between Kalkbrenner and Broom.
Yeah, and I would also stay away because I could see a world in which Creighton's in this, and then they're smothering Ashworth. He has to force a few shots, and then Pettiford or Miles Kelly or Denver Jones hits a few, and then it ends up being like 12. But for that reason, I kind of just am like, I wouldn't want to bet that one.
Yeah, I would definitely stay away there. He's saying St. John's is going to pull away from Arkansas. A little tip for you. I need you to ride this with me tomorrow at DeLoyne.
I'll be riding this as well.
You're going to take, let me see what the spread is so I can get this all figured out and everything. Make this right. So I think it's Arkansas first half plus 4.5 right now. You're going to take Arkansas first half plus 4.5 or money line, whatever you want to do. And then at halftime, you're going to take St. John's second half spread because St. John's first half, St. John's second half are opposite teams. And whatever motivational speech Rick Pitino says at halftime, it works 100% of the time. These dudes come out guns blazing every single time.
Motivational speech. It's like, you guys effing suck.
Yeah,
I hate you.
You guys are worthless pieces of crap. This is, you guys are going to go through hell in your lives. You guys are pieces of crap. You guys are worth nothing. It's like when Jason Tatum talks about Coach K.
Yeah, like the Zion team against Louisville.
Halftime of the Virginia game, and he's going to Jason Tatum like, you're a soft MFer from St. Louis. He's like, we're winning.
I'm playing well.
And he goes out and beats Virginia. No big
deal.
deal.
Is he on YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So shout out.
I need to find this guy.
Yeah.
I like him.
So shout out everyone that tuned in. Shout out everybody in the chat and everything. Great stuff. We will be live tomorrow night after the Saturday slate. It's going to
hopefully more upbeat.
Yeah, hopefully more upbeat. But I think everybody is complaining tonight. I haven't checked Twitter at all, but I assume people are upset.
They are.
They are. Yeah, I was about to say, you better be. So anyhow, make sure to subscribe at CarterCast on everything, at CarterBA, at BD Hammond 28 on all social media. Download SeatGeek, use code CarterCast, $20 off your first purchase, $50 minimum purchase required. That's code CarterCast, KARTERKAST, just like the podcast title on there as well. We'll be live tomorrow night after the games. I will also be live right after BYU Wisconsin, which is going to be brutal because that's when things are really kicking off. I was hoping BYU would get the daytime, that first game maybe, and I could go live right after that.
It's too good to be that early, though.
No, I know. That. So we got the TV right here in front of us. I'll be able to watch the games while we're doing the live stream as well right after. But hopefully it's a shorter one. Hopefully it's a BYU win and we can go short and whatnot. But appreciate you guys. Make sure to subscribe and everything, and we'll see y'all next time. Bye. Boom. All right. Let me check the Twitter real quick. We're still live right now, FYI. So don't hot mic yourself.
Don't say something.
Don't say something. All right, we're good. I messed up the Thursday reactions thing. But anyhow, adios. Love you guys. Peace out. go.